So, how do you find using this system
I
or
was,
kind of
yeah,
guideline?
it definitely provokes like a different kind of thought regarding objects.
In what way?
I think before I was considering like the journey and how the user uses the object,
Mm-hmm.
but this makes you more close. Even if you're not using it for coding, I think it more makes you more closely analyze the the functions of the object and how they feed into one another. Like it makes you not just say, oh yeah, the lights light up when this happens. It says if the button is pushed, what are the circumstances? What does that make it do? And how does that come out as an
Mm-hmm.
output? It has kind of the input, like choices, output, and
Mm-hmm.
that's for everything. And it kind of, although it can kind of like it creates this kind of branching thought, which, especially when you're trying to analyze the functional object, I think that helps.
Mm-hmm. So, how does this fit into the storyboard that you did before? Does it help you to do storyboarding at all, or is it kind of the very separate thing and have no link together?
I normally do storyboarding anyway because I
Mm-hmm.
like to think how a user would use it and stuff like that. But by analyzing kind of like the inputs throughout it, I normally wouldn't consider inputs, like especially like the idea of light and sound and location and stuff. But by considering inputs in this instance, it allows you to kind of attribute what's happening to the user as well as what's happening to the object at each experience or interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it comes in. You start, rather than looking at like an overall interaction, you analyze each specific interaction the user has with the object almost.
Right.
Like even if, I guess that's maybe that's what coding is more like. I don't have a lot of experience, but I think maybe that's what coding is, where you've got to analyze each interaction really, really closely to understand all the possible outcomes.
Mm-hmm. So, does this helps you to develop your idea at all?
Yeah, I think it's given me like an understanding of not only like how the object works in interaction, but like how it would feed into a larger scheme. Like before, I hadn't even considered how the object gets its kind of base or location to center itself around. And it's kind of, even if I don't end up coding it, which I might not because I'm not very good at coding,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of help me figure out how it feeds into a system or a system blueprint almost. Like I can, maybe less so a system, but a system blueprint where I can analyze each interaction the object is having with itself as opposed to the user, how
Mm-hmm.
that feeds into the rest of it.
All right. So, how is this different from the way you used to work before?
I think
Yeah.
the in GSA there's a real focus around the user and testing and getting their feedback, and I think this it moves away from it, but probably in a good way, where you're taking elements that are important to the user, like the location, the feedback that's given to them, but you're closely analyzing the product or the interaction with it, as opposed to like you're doing the interaction with the product, but from the product's point of view as opposed to the
Mm-hmm.
user's point of view. I think that's where it comes from.
Right. Okay. So, do you think that this could be used in conjunction with storyboarding?
Yeah, I think like it'd be good if it could be like honed down into like what the feedback what the feeding into the object is,
Mm-hmm.
like it, rather than just saying, oh, like inputs and outputs. Like it could be like, if it might be my fault, but maybe if there's some way of like really closely analyzing each interaction and being like exactly what's happening here, what the inputs, what the outputs, that might work.
Okay. All right.
But yeah,
Thanks.
no problem.
Yeah.